Back to the Future movie trilogy helped establish the DMC DeLorean as an 80s icon. And our next guest is one of the only people in the country who still repairs and maintains DeLoreans. And now he wants to bring the icon back and into the future. And joining me now is Stephen Wynn, CEO of the DeLorean Motor Company. Stephen, thanks for joining us. And boy, what is that, your factory behind you?
This is actually just our workshop where we do the service and restorations. We have a whole other part of the facility that will actually set up for the assembly line.
And so how did you get involved in the DeLoreans?
I'm an English car mechanic that specialized in English and French cars, and DeLorean is essentially an English and French car. So when I came to America, it seemed like the logical path to follow.
But then, so you started repairing them, and now you own the company?
Yes, started repairing them, in the 80s, right after the company went out of business, and had the opportunity along the way to buy all of the remaining inventory after the original DeLorean went bankrupt. And then once we had all that inventory, it was, okay, now what are we going to do with all that stuff? So as well as service and repairing the cars, then we started looking at starting to make the cars, but unfortunately, you can't just go making an old car. Yet they have to conform to the regulations, and a 1980s car doesn't conform to the current regulations. So we were able to get together with SEMA and a bunch of the other people who work with replica cars, and we got the law changed, or got President Obama to sign it in December of 2015 that allowed for replicas to be made. And at that time, NHTSA was given 12 months to come up with the final guidelines, and unfortunately, here we are 5 years down the road, and we're still waiting for those final guidelines.
And so how many DeLoreans were made in the 80s?
Originally, there was about 9,200 cars made.
Can I buy a new DeLorean from you?
You can't at present, no, until we go into production, which again, we're waiting for those final guidelines, which we're hoping to receive by the end of this year. Then once that happens, then we'll start again with the engineering process of what it's going to take to put the car together. And all things being equal, about this time next year will probably be about the best case scenario for us to start being able to deliver new cars.
So let's say I wanted to make a pre-order on a brand new DeLorean. What would that car look like?
It's going to look exactly like the original car. You know, the replica program says that it has to be to match the original, which we really don't want to mess with the original car because it's such an iconic design, and that's what our brand is all about for now.
So what were some quirky things about the DeLorean? I mean, aside from the gull-wing doors.
Well, the obvious one is the gull-wing doors, but also the fact that it has stainless steel body panels that were not painted. And the way the car is also constructed, it has a chassis, a fiberglass underbody, and then the stainless skins attached to it. So that makes it kind of unique to what you see around today, because most cars today are a unibody construction where the body and chassis are all as one.
Does that make the car heavy? How much does the car weigh?
No, they weigh about 2,800 pounds, which by today's standards is actually quite light. And what you asked there is a very common perception that people have. They think that it's 100% stainless, so it's going to be super heavy. But because it's got a fiberglass underbody, that actually helps reduce the weight.
And so what about the cassette player?
Yes. So the original specification was an AM/FM cassette with 4 speakers. Unfortunately, that's not going to make it with the next go-around.
You're going to have like Android Play or Apple CarPlay, right?
Oh yeah, obviously our customer base is very tech savvy, so we would have to be up to date with all of the current trends as far as in-car entertainment and features inside the car for sure.
So when you're driving around Houston in a DeLorean, do you get a lot of looks?
Oh, you cannot believe it. It's insane. And it's been this way for, I've been driving DeLoreans now for 38 years. And I'd say the car is more recognizable today than what it was when it was new.
So when we look at the iconic version of the DeLorean, what can you add to it as a replica?
Exterior-wise, we're pretty well locked in. It'll have some things like the wheels will be larger because we need to put bigger brakes on the car, and that's going to be a mechanical improvement. But the outside of the car, I'm very, very happy with it, and it's so instantly, iconically recognizable that I don't really want to change it. Plus the fact that I'm sitting on all of this inventory of body panels that we have to make the car. So at this stage, it doesn't pay to tool up to make a different car when we have this inventory that we can use for the assembly.
Well, I think it was in 2019, I was at the Barrett-Jackson car auction in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I saw a DeLorean go over the block. 2 owners, I think it had 5,700 miles, and it sold for roughly $38,000 US dollars. How does that compare to, say, a year from now when you're going to be selling a DeLorean?
Probably that car that you seen a couple of years ago today is probably a $50,000 to $60,000 car.
Wow.
And DeLoreans are just going up in value, which is great. It really helps the brand. But with the new car, we haven't quite finished the bill of materials, so we don't really have an idea of what it's going to be. But it's going to be, probably in the mid to low 150s, just because that's what it takes to put a car together these days.
Now, one last question. Will it have any flux capacitors?
No. We'll leave all the movie prop stuff for the movies, and we'll keep this as the real deal.
That's good. Hey, Stephen, thanks so much for joining us. It's been a real pleasure having you here on the Kim Komando Show. We're looking forward to taking our own time machine for a spin when production is finally finished. Hey, thanks for watching. Now, a few things. Don't forget to click the like button and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. And for more digital know-how, check out all these other great links.